If you ever hear someone calling your name in the deep backcountry, never answer back. I used to think that was just mountain folklore, a creepy story park rangers told over campfires to scare tourists from wandering off trail. But 6 months ago, I took a solo 4-day trek into the Black Ridge Wilderness. I left my tent, my $3,000 worth of gear, and my sanity somewhere on that mountain. I ran until my boots tore and my lungs bled. I'm sharing this now because last night I heard that same whistle right outside my second-story bedroom window. Let me establish one thing first. I'm not a novice hiker. I've logged hundreds of miles across the Rockies, the Cascades, and the Appalachians. I know how to navigate by compass, I know bear safety, and I know how to survive off-grid. The Black Ridge Trail is a stretch of unmaintained wilderness known only to locals. Cell service dies 3 miles from the trailhead, and once you pass the second ridge, you won't see a ranger station for 45 miles. That's precisely why I picked it. I needed a break from society. Just 4 days of cold mountain air, quiet woods, and total isolation. The first 2 days were textbook perfection. Crisp autumn air, golden foliage, and the crunch of pine needles beneath my boots. By the afternoon of day 3, I was deeper into the backcountry than I've ever been. That was when the wilderness shifted. Around 3 p.m., the forest went dead silent. If you spend enough time outdoors, you know what a quiet forest feels like. It's peaceful, but this wasn't peaceful. This was an oppressive, heavy silence. The birds stopped singing, the squirrels stopped chattering, even the wind seemed to freeze in the trees. It felt like the entire mountain had held its breath. I kept walking, brushing off the unease, a simple fatigue, but 10 minutes later I saw the first sign that something was off. Just 5 feet off the main path, carved deep into the bark of an ancient oak tree, were 3 tall tally markers. The cuts were fresh. The white pine underneath was still glistening with sticky sap. I stopped, running my fingers over the edge. They weren't animal scratches. They were precise, straight, and deliberately carved with a blade. 50 yards down the trail, 3 more tally marks on a second tree. 50 yards after that, 3 more. At 2:14 a.m., I woke up. Not slowly. I snapped awake. Every nerve in my body was on fire, and the rain had stopped. Outside my tent, I heard footsteps. They were heavy, deliberate, and 2-legged footsteps crunching through the leaves. Step, pause, step. My heart was hammering against my ribs so hard I was terrified the thing outside could hear it. I gripped my knife, holding my breath, staring at the dimly lit nylon of my tent wall. The footsteps stopped directly behind my head. Just inches of fabric separated me from whatever was standing out there in the dark. For 3 agonizing minutes, nothing moved. Then I heard it. A whistle. It wasn't a bird. It was a human whistle. Soft, slow, and completely calm. And then came a voice. It sounded raspy, distorted, almost like 2 people trying to speak the exact same words in unison at the exact same pitch. David, you left your light on. My name is David. I haven't spoken to a single soul in that trail. I hadn't worn a name tag, and worst of all, I hadn't turned my headlamp on since I went to sleep. I slowly looked down at the floor of my tent through the small gap in the bottom zipper. A narrow beam of white light was cutting through the dark. Someone was standing outside, holding my spare headlamp. The one I had left zipped inside the bottom pocket of my heavy backpack. Adrenaline completely took over. I didn't slice open the tent. I unzipped the rail or emergency vestibule as fast as my hands could move, burst out into the freezing night air, and ran. I left my main pack, I left my sleeping bag, I left everything except my boots, my jacket, and the knife in my hand. Behind me, I heard a terrible high-pitched screech, like tearing metal mixed with an animal roar, and then heavy, thumping footfalls crashing through the brush right on my heels. I ran blind. Branches whipped my face, cutting my cheeks. I tripped over roots, slammed into the wet rocks, got back up, and kept sprinting. Every time I looked back, the white beam of my own headlight was bouncing through the trees 50 yards behind me, moving impossibly fast. It wasn't the trail. It was gliding straight through the dense briars, closing the distance. I don't remember the rest of the night. I just remember the horizon turning gray and suddenly stumbling onto the asphalt of the ranger station around 6 a.m. The rangers took me in, wrapped me in a thermal blanket, and called an ambulance. When search and rescue went back up to the Black Ridge Trail 2 days later to retrieve my campsite, they found something that made the head rangers quit his job the following week. My tent was gone, my backpack was gone, and in the center of the clearing where I had camped, a wide circle of sharp stones had been laid out, and right in the center was my pocket knife. It was folded open, shoved 6 inches deep into the dirt, and carved around the circle in the soil were 3 fresh tally marks. I moved 3 states over after that. I bought an apartment in the middle of a noisy, crowded city. I thought if I put enough concrete and streetlights between me and those woods, I'd be safe. But last night, the rain started falling around 2 a.m., and just before I closed my eyes, I heard a low 3-note whistle right out my window. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you guys so much for making it this far in the video. I want to make sure you guys subscribe, comment down below, and like. If you guys want to send in stories, my email is arianaholmstrom@gmail.com. That is my business email. Feel free to reach out. Someone did send me this story, which was really out of the blue and really amazing. I was not expecting that because I just started. But I just want to say thank you guys so much. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.